All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. It's your brother Abadia. I want to give all the honor, glory, and praises to Yahawah, Bahashim YAHAWASHI, Bahashim Rabakakodash. Love on to my elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Sing honors to the elect. Peace and blessings be to all the sincere men, women, and children that do consist of the one third, and to the confusion, the faces in the four corners of the earth. Shalom, shalom. So, like here, I didn't do camp this past weekend. When I was going out to do camp, I was having difficulties, technical problems with my car, mechanical at that as well. But I said I'm gonna do a midweek camp, and I'm gonna still do camp this weekend as well. Right? But as you can see by the title, they despise their kings. As you can tell, Queen Elizabeth II, okay, of course, she's passed, and now Charles, King Charles, he's in her stead, and not only that, you can also see how America is dwindling and losing its power. Like I say, it don't matter if you claim to be Russian, German, or American. You're still an Edomite. No matter how you look at it, you're still an Edomite. You're still descendant from Esau. So not only did the Queen pass away, all right, Your Highness passed away, but then what also came about? It was September the 11th, which marked what 9/11. And you have a lot of people who really can see America and even England, the British and America, for the evil that they have done or for the conspiracies that they have always been a part of, Because Esau do something wicked like 40 years ago, and then 40 years later they want to apologize, or because it's been so long since it happened, they don't care about the evidence being brought out. Because right when it happens, they'll say, "Oh, this is medical misinformation," or they'll say that this is misinformation. Period. And they'll take your page down or they'll flag it. But now people, it's to the point where you in this woke era, like people are saying to themselves, man, hey man, we tired of this, man. We already know you lying. Even their own people would say that. But nonetheless, article from American Military News. Video, young Americans say nobody cares about 9/11. They hate U.S. military and U.S. deserved it. So now this is like 20 years later. All right, people saying they don't care about 9/11. They say America deserved it, but this is not a foreigner saying that. This is an actual citizen in America saying they don't care about 9/11. So they're going to tell you that this new generation that's coming up, they can care less about the ethics, they can care less about the government, they can care less about the military, right? So they're going to show you, man, that this next generation will despise this government. Just like you even have the people over there who are from generations before me, they're despising the governments over there in the UK. Okay, now let's get back to it. A new video released this week showed multiple young Americans expressing apathy over the 9/11 2001 terrorist attacks that killed nearly 3,000 American civilians, with one even asserting that younger generations hate the military and hate America, which is why nobody cares about 9/11 and the U.S. deserved it. So that's right there is what someone had quoted and said. Okay, now let's go to some articles, not articles, some precepts that I pulled out. This is Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand, right? Because here it is, you're supposed to be united, right? What they say on one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all, that's a damn lie, right? You can still see how they mistreat Jake today. A prime example, the new Little Mermaid movie. They got Chloe Bailey playing it. And so many Edomites all around the world is upset about her playing the role of Little Mermaid. But they go to show you that underlining racism that's still here in America. That's why I tell Jake, I said, listen here, man, they will never accept you. They will only tolerate you. So long as she's twerking and showing her body and being promiscuous, they don't care. But as soon as she plays the role of a Disney character, everybody's up in arms. Everybody's upset. So America's never been united. All right. And also think about this. They put the trailer on YouTube and it got 1.7 million dislikes. 1.7 million dislikes, man. All right. So, that's just another prime example on how America is still so divided. Let's go back to the article really quick. Article, it says, bear with me for a moment. It says, obviously, like support to all of the families, talking about those who died in 9/11, and like it's a tragic event, but the amount, I'm gonna read it verbatim, but the amount of shit we've done to other countries, like the younger generation doesn't care because we all like hate the military, we hate America. I'm just reading it verbatim. The young American continue. So there's like bigger tragedies that really don't get like touched on. You can tell it's a Jake, right? He says even Juneteenth this year wasn't really celebrated that much. Juneteenth goes back to the quote unquote commemoration when we were so called free, all right? So called. If something like that isn't getting like celebrated or given, like you tell us to Jake, he's saying like the support that it should be given, why would we give it to like 9/11? He added, I'm sorry, but I think slavery is a little bigger of a tragedy than 9/11 was. So here it is, you got a young Jake saying that he don't care about 9/11. He said because even in America, no one really celebrated or cared about Juneteenth, which goes back to us being in slavery, then quote unquote being liberated. But then they want everybody, they'll tell you, forget slavery, but remember 9/11. Forget slavery, but remember Pearl Harbor. All right, forget slavery, but remember the Holocaust. When really the Holocaust was the transatlantic slave trade, man. Right, so that's another prime example why they're being despised and people don't regard their kings anymore, their rulers. This is Isaiah chapter 47, verse 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. What does it mean thy nakedness shall be uncovered? It's talking about the virgin daughter of Babylon. It's talking about America. Why is it the virgin daughter? It's parabolic because America hasn't been invaded. America hasn't been trampled on. America hasn't had foreign troops on their land to occupy or subjugate them. Pearl Harbor, they're already inside job because 3 days prior to that, the president at that time was Roosevelt. The president at that time got a letter, a word saying that the Japanese troops were coming. But at that time and moment, the American people, they didn't want to go to war because back then they were smarter. They know if we go to war, it's going to cost us more because they knew that then that the American people would still do today. American people, they pay the taxes on the military. They pay the taxes for the government, right? So they didn't want to go to war, but they knew it was happening. So when it says that nakedness shall be uncovered, a prime example would be they knew about Pearl Harbor. A prime example would be like the inside job on 9/11. Like there were videos where you heard there was a New York firefighter. He had a strong, heavy New York accent, like he was Italian or something, Sicilian. And he said at the bottom of the towers, he said you can hear it sound like a perfect demolition. You hear boom, 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 right? And then you also heard. Let me think about this. You have to where the top of the towers were hit by airplanes, right? And then the entire building implodes on itself. And I also heard like 2 weeks prior to that, certain people couldn't have access to the bottom of the building, to certain parts of the building, man. All right. There were 2 weeks prior to that. And also there was an insurance policy taken out on the buildings, man. That's a part of your negatives being uncovered. And also when Queen Elizabeth passed away, rather than people really remorsing, of course you have people that remorse for her. You have more people around the world that despise them. Especially with South Africa talking about how they stole one of the most expensive diamonds. Same thing with India. I'm gonna get into that as well. Next article from abc.net.au. As the UK mourns the Queen, police treatment of "Not My King" protesters is sparking freedom of speech fears. So that right there is once again showing that they despise their kings, man. Here it is. King Charles is supposed to be up in the stead. This is your kingdom, Edomites. But look, now you're actually speaking up against your king. That's like the nation of Israel speaking up against King David, man. So let's get back to it. A crackdown on protesters holding "Not My King" and "Abolish the Monarchy" signs in the UK have sparked a series of new demonstrations amid fears freedom of expression is being squashed in the wake of the Queen's death. As Britons mourn the loss of Queen Elizabeth II and the new king tours his kingdom, some public events and locations have attracted protesters holding pro-republic and anti-monarchy signs. Right, so you're not even appreciated. You're not even mourned over by your own people. They don't even care that your wife passed away. They say you're not my king anyway. Okay. So right now, America is being on laughed. It's a laughing stock of the world. Remember, America's run by Esau. And then you have these people over in the UK saying that King Charles is not their king. So you're being greatly despised, not only by your own people, but by the entire world. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right. Once again, China was colonized by Britain. South Africa was colonized by Britain. Okay, and you had a plenty. India was colonized by Britain. And like I said, you got to think about the three heads of this entire system. Shalom, shalom, Nakwam, YAHAWASHI, Shaba, Shim Kakadas, Brakatah. Right, so you got to think about the entire system. Like I said, Esau's military is in DC. Esau's banking system is in England, or the monarchy system, right? And then you have the religious sector down in the Vatican. I just uploaded a video yesterday where Pope Francis said we need to, what's the word he said? Purify religions. Then he also spoke of how he was in favor of the New World Order. All right. So they show you, you pretty much can know how they run and operate throughout the world, man, based upon the sectors and based upon there's certain branches, quote unquote, that they have, all right, to control the world, the masses. Job 9:24, the earth given to the hands of the wicked. Right? So, as they say, not my king. All right, that's what people are saying over there right now to this day, over in the UK. Let's get back to it. Once again, forgive me. The second Ezra, chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Now that ain't happened yet. Well, I'm sorry, let me take that back. There has been in foreign countries, especially in the Middle East, where they have raided the offices of their government. But right now I'm talking about the UK, but that hasn't happened yet in the UK. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. I just read an article where they said that King Charles is not their king. And the course of their action shall stand in their power, right? And they're out there with those signs protesting. But like we say, they control the main media, so they're going to show you the positive side of her quote unquote death, right? And then you have a lot of people on the social media on these alternative sites saying like, "That's not my king." One lady said that she hoped that the king, not the king, the queen, having excruciating death or some crazy stuff. I was like, man, like a lot of people really resent the monarchy over in England. Micah 6:12. For the rich men thereof are full of violence. Right, brother. And the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. Exactly. Exactly. Like the scripture says, though his words are sweet, though he speak with sweet words, there's war in his heart. That's how they look. I think there was somewhere in the article they said when Queen Elizabeth was ruling, she was born like what, 1926? I think she was born like 1 year before my grandmother. 1926. She didn't have any quote unquote colored servants serving her until like what, the 1960s or something, 1950s. Okay. So that just goes to show you, man, that that they are deceitful in their mouth. They make it seem as if they want world peace. They make it seem like they want everybody to come together. No, they really don't. They love their power, and they're not going to give it up. Another article, like I said, this is not going to be a long session. I didn't come out last weekend, so I wanted to come out today, and I'm also going to come out later on this weekend. I got to make up for that day off. I can't. It don't sit right with me. Once again, This is from Vice.com. Why these former British colonies want $45 trillion in reparations from the royal family. Shalom, shalom, Makwatia. YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, Bashim, Fakadash, Barakatham. All right. So, once again, why these former British colonies want $45 trillion in reparations from the royal family. Okay. It says much of the UK is caught in grand gestures of grief over their queen, and reportedly exorbitant state funeral preparations are currently underway. Listen to this. Elizabeth II net worth was $442 million. And it also goes on to say that she pretty much got most of that from being funded by the taxpayers with over a tune of $100 million annually. And the Bible speaks about getting money by usury. Right? When you're paying taxes to a country, that makes you tributary. All right? Paying taxes makes you tributary. Go back in the book of Luke and read, I think it's the 2nd chapter, like the 1st verse on down. It speaks about how Joseph and Mary had to go pay taxes to Caesar. Okay? Nonetheless, going back into the article, it says, but for many from Elizabeth II's former colonies, the extravagance of the British monarchy, even in death, underpins the dark realities of not just violent colonization, and the brother put that beautiful precept up. Violent colonization, Micah 6:12. For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. And she accumulated over $442 million, man. How did they get that money? By violence. Once again, colonizing China, colonizing India, and colonizing South Africa. I think it was a couple years ago, you had the indigenous inhabitants of South Africa. They were pretty much slaughtering and killing the farmers over there because it reminded because of the apartheid when they got colonized. But see, well, how come they just started doing that like maybe a couple years ago compared to decades ago? Because China is actually aiding Africa. China and Russia is investing in Africa. Okay. Once again, even though you may be Russian or German or American, you're still an Edomite, right? Because it goes back to the lineage of your father. Your biblical Edomites, regardless of what social construct or social terminology you want to use in a society, you always go back to your ancestors. Okay, and that was a good precept too. I like that precept, brother. Let's get back to it though. In the former British colony of undivided India, that number comes to a whopping $45 trillion. Okay, so they're telling you, man, how much money they've been taking from these countries. And there was also an article here. Where is it? Right. They said that the Queen took a diamond from India that was worth $400 million, man. And right now, think about it. Upon her death, South Africa and India saying, hey, that jewelry that you stole from us, we want it back. And you know what they're doing? They're walking around with this jewelry on. So they're proudly boasting it, man. They're proudly boasting. Let's read that really quick. This is why you're being espied. This is why you're being uncovered. That goes back to the verse. It says, the devil shall come down with great wrath, knowing that he had but a little time. They're losing their grip. They're losing the grip of their power. It says the debate over the 109-carat Koh-i-Noor diamond, which is part of the British crown jewels, all right, and claimed as stolen by former colonies, as one of the enduring and dark legacies of Elizabeth II, one of the last grand symbols of British imperialism. But see, they'll say that now that she's dead, but no one was speaking about this openly when she was alive. You know what I'm saying? But so this whole time that you've been bigging them up and promoting them and all hell the queen or whatever, man, they're thieves, they're murderers, they're liars, they're deceivers, man. And they're losing their power, as you can see right now. Okay? Brother dropped another one, I think. Not mistaken. Maria, a little bit more of this. Now listen, this is the arrogancy of Esau. Let me read this. Jeremiah 21:17. But thine eyes and thy heart are not but for thy covetousness, and for to shed blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. I think you got some more coming up after that. I'll wait. But let me get this. The British government has never worked to repay colonial loot. They're not going to. Same thing here in America. Now, they want to talk about reparations right now. Why? Because the dollar has no freaking value. I mean, it's just common freaking sense, people. You can go to the you can go to a movie theater back during the time of my great aunts and watch a movie for like 10 cents. You go in there now, it's damn near 15, $20, depending on what area you go to, man. I remember when I was younger in the early 90s, man. I was a gallon of gas was like $1.03. I never forget that day. I never forget looking up at the gas thing. It said like $1.03. That was damn near $3, $4, $5, man. Same gas from the same planet, from the same Earth. Okay. You said 22 cents. Yeah, I was reading it, but I mean it said what it said. It still made sense though. I thought it was more after that. But nonetheless, though, we'll leave it up there. Right? Let me get back to it. Forgive me. The British government has never worked to repay colonial loot, and they're not going to. Former British Prime Minister David Cameron infamously said that if they were to say yes to demands, then you would suddenly find the British Museum empty. So right there, he just subliminally told you, yeah, we stole all of this, but if you're going to give it back, then it'll be empty. No, if you were to give everything back throughout the earth, you'll be right back in the caves in the Caucasus Mountain, man. Hence, you call yourself Caucasian, man. And you say it's so easy a caveman can do it. Remember that? So this is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So after the Renaissance, that's when Esau started to rule again. And let's be honest, America really didn't start having their quote unquote kingdom until like the late 1800s during the industrial period. So for centuries, we were pretty much building up this country for off of hardcore bondage, man. And just as quickly as they have ascended, they are quickly descending, man. This country is on a rapid decline. There's a military, not military. There's a medical term called circling the drain. America is circling the drain. There's no way America can get out of this 30-something trillion dollars worth of debt. America has so many allies that are cutting them off. Remember, the scripture says the beast shall hate the horde. America's the horde is riding on the beast. The beast goes back. The 7 heads go back to the EU. The 10 horns go back to NATO. How is it you're going to put sanctions on your allies' enemy, and your allies need your enemy's energy to supply their country? So that's why they say it's going to be a dark winter in Europe, because Russia's like, you know what? We got the upper hand. We're not selling any energy to you. We're going to find somebody else to sell it to. So what? Is Europe going to get their energy from America? Because America already having blackouts. They're talking about having planned blackouts here, man. Once again, football season coming up, more bread and circuses. Right after that, the NBA season going to come up, more bread and circuses. Longer they got their food, their beer, and their sex and their drugs, they can care less what happens throughout the world. That's how the society is right now. That's why when the scripture says the slain of the Lord shall be many, I'm not going to bat an eye at nobody. Women, children, older men, all that. I'm not going to bat an eye because at the time you had liberty to repent, you didn't want to. You wanted to remain in your debauchery, in your stupor. But then remain asleep and remain drunken from the wine of Babylon, because America is the mystery of Babylon. So yeah, once again, Sirach 10 and 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right. Big facts. Let's go back. Now understand this as well. The Rothschild loaned to the Holy See, Hollysee. So the Rothschilds and the king, actually I saw a picture with the King Charles talking to one of the Rothschilds. And if you saw the picture, you can tell who had the power. King Charles didn't have the power because as that Rothschild was speaking to him, it's a still picture. You can see him putting his finger in his chest. Like he's talking to him, but he's putting his finger in his chest. And King Charles sitting there like a little boy. But it's supposed to be the King of England. Now think about this. The President of the United States, when they visited the King and the Queen, they had to kiss the Queen's ring. But guess what? The Queen or the King had to kiss the ring of the Rothschilds. Like I said, the Queen, the King, all of that, the President, all of that, the Vatican, all of that, all of those are just puppets set up because the people behind the scenes that pulling the strings, those are the ones that's really ruling the world. You know what I'm saying? It's like those are front linemen. Those are the cadets. Then you got the lieutenants and the sergeants, man, and the majors and all of that. So let's go back. Like I said, it's not going to be long. I just want to step out really quick. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5 through 6. Yea, also, because he transgressed by wine. What is that wine? That wine is philosophy, it's policies. All right, the things that they force the other nations to abide to, right? To be under subjection to. He is a proud man, neither keepeth that home. Right. I just spoke about all the places they colonized, really the whole world. They really, technically, let's be honest, they colonized the whole world. You want to know how we know that Esau is the so-called white man that's ruling right now? If you were to fly any plane from any country, you don't have to know Portuguese. You don't have to know patois. You don't have to know French. Every pilot in the world must know English. Right. So just by default, that's how you know who's ruling the world right now. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He has over 130 some military bases throughout the world, who enlargeth his desire as hell. Like I said, hell is a condition, not a place. Everywhere this man go, he brings nothing but hell to the people, to the earth. Hell, you got animals in the sea. I'm talking about like this is their natural habitat. They're beaching themselves, you know. You got seagulls with six pack liners around their neck, choking them to death. Oil spills, man. Holes in the ozone layer. There's so much going on. And is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, heapeth unto him all people. And they do gather unto them all nations because they always have the UN Council. Right? And once again, they forced all the other world leaders to use the dollar as the petro dollar for them to sell their own oil and to sell their own goods. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. Once again, woe to him that increases that which is not his. Like India, like South Africa was saying, yo, you stole from us. We want this back. But see, this is what happens though. Listen, I don't feel sorry for none of them because the time who was in hardcore bondage, the entire world benefited off of it. How the hell you have centuries of slavery, all right? You have all of this product, but then no one's buying it. So who was buying all the cotton? Who was buying all the tobacco, all the sugar cane? All the other heathen nations, man. So the hell with India, the hell with South Africa, and the hell with China, man. Because you continue to aid in the slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, by purchasing the products. If there's no high demand for supply, how the hell are you going to keep your business going? Right? And the New York Stock Exchange is a result of hardcore bondage because the first stock was us. Now they have the term stock up in the New York Stock Exchange. All right. Once again, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that thick clay goes, the word clay, I think it's abatia, which means debt. You're in heavy debt, man. The brother Naquam dropped Proverbs 15:25. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, beautiful, but will establish the border of the widow. We are the widow. We are the widow. Remember, it's parabolic talk. So, because the scripture speaks about, well, really, I want to go off into a tangent, but our mother is Israel. The motherland is Israel. Wisdom is also referred to as our mother as well. Our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding was taken from us because the Lord told Jeremiah 17:4, he said, thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage. So calling ourselves African American, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Cuban, Nicaraguan, Jamaican, or from Virgin. No, those are like proverbs and bywords given to us by our oppressors. So that's a prime example of us not having our heritage and losing who we are. You know, celebrating Christmas, Halloween, your birthday. Those are customs of the heathens. We don't celebrate those things. We have our own customs in the Bible. We have the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We have the Purim, the Day of Atonement. You know, we have those holidays. notice how they call it holidays, because they're claiming that those days are holy. They're not. They're not. Okay. I like that precept, that Proverbs 15 and 25. Right. So this is Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 15 through 17. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Right. The entire world is just fed up with Esau right now. And yes, you are the smallest among all the heathen, man. Hell, at one point, King David almost wiped y'all out, but the Lord had to leave a remnant of y'all later. He had to leave a remnant of the Dukes of Edom so that later on you could rule over us, because there was biblical prophecy. Slavery is it. Slavery is in the Bible. All right. Outside of the Bible, you can find secular history that will correlate with the Bible. That's why they took the Bible out of school. All right. They're like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This right here is too much information for them. You got to separate the what it said the government from the church. Okay. But they're allowing Satanism inside these schools. Wow, right? Think about that. That's another story. Continuing on. Jeremiah 49 and 16. Thy terribleness have deceived thee. Right. Because they took pride in what they did to us as a people. Think about, it's a book called Without Sanctuary. The first postcards was pictures of us being burned alive, lynched. Because they'll send a postcard to their family and say, last weekend we had a barbecue. So the terminology barbecue comes from when they used to burn us either at the stake or burn us from the hanging from a tree. All right, for real, they took pride in that. Like, you know what? That's why I don't feel sorry for the other nations, because you seen what they did to us, so you really thought that he was like they wasn't gonna do it to you. It goes back to that proverb. Well, it's like pretty much like a proverb where there was an injured snake, and the man picked up the snake and nursed the snake back to health. But see, the snake didn't change its nature. The snake bit the man, and the man pleaded with the snake. You was out injured, and I brought you in, and I nurtured you back to health. Why would you do that to me? And the snake said, what did you expect? I'm a snake. So what did you expect America to do to you other nations when you see what the hell they did to their own brother? Because technically, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, we're more closely related to the so-called white man than we are to those so-called Africans. You got to go back to the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Esau was Jacob's biological twin brother. Come on, man. Like, that's why you got to be more spiritual than be carnal. Let me get back to it, though. Thy terribleness, this is Jeremiah 49 and 16. Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. Look at Mount Petra, in the clefts of the rock, man. And they like to what? In the clefts of the rock, going back to the mountains, sleeping and living in the mountains in the caves. They love to have these tall buildings, and the CEO's office are always at the top, always at the tip top of those buildings, man. Looking down at everybody else, referring to us as peasants and serfs and subjects. That hold is the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from this, saith the Lord. Right. And they go back to the ISS, International Space Station, man. Now you know you got Russia and America, but they're both Edomite countries. Oh, well, then what about China? Well, China is Moab. And what were the two countries that gave us the most problems coming out of Egypt? It was Moab and Edom. Moab and Edom. So there will be Caucasians and the Chinese people, man. Okay. Verse 17. Also Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goes by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. Right. Right. Because the plagues are going to come upon America. Talk about those thermonuclear warheads, man. Like I said, I wasn't going to make this long, but I just wanted to come out. Because like I said, I didn't go out last weekend. It been eating me up all week. I'm still going to come out this weekend. But I felt like, man, let me come out and bring some of this information out on how Esau's being despised and your skirts being lifted, you being exposed. I forgot which one it was. One of the Rothschilds, if I'm not mistaken, or the Rockefeller. The Rockefellers are just the American version of the Rothschild. They all still related. Even the Bowers, no, Schwab. Schwab is related to them as well, right? But you're at the end of your race. The Lord has set a bound that you cannot pass. And the deceived and the deceiver are his. So I'm gonna close out with this precept. If the water for all of y'all being on the comment board and for showing up. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. That's what's happening right now. You're drunken with madness. To the point that you blatantly letting the world know, I don't care anymore. What you gonna do about it? Okay, just like how they killed one of the top generals in Iran, just like how they shot down on those Russian jets years ago. They really were poking at the nation like, we want y'all to do something. Like, we need a reason to go to war with you, right? But see, Russia has the upper hand. Iran has the upper hand. China has the upper hand. That's why the Lord said, "Why has deceived thee?" It doesn't make any sense. America is an import country. Why would you fight against the country that you need to help run your economy? That's just pure pride. It's really stupidity. But these are supposed to be the leaders. These are supposed to be the oligarchs that's ruling over us right now. You're gonna shoot yourself in the foot and then prepare for a race. That's stupid. Anyways, going back, verse 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished. Talking about us. O daughter of Zion, he will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity. O daughter of Edom, he will discover thy sins. Like the word disclose, when something's closed, like the Lord told David to shut the book, now it's being disclosed because it's been open. So when the Lord says he's going to discover thy sins, he's going to uncover your sins. And now it's so blatant, like you can't even refute it, right? But nonetheless, though, with that being said, I pray that you was edified and fed. Stay in the spirit, don't fear it, just endure it. Ask for forgiveness, pray without ceasing, stay humble, remain diligent, point out Allah, walk on the ball. Shalom, shalom. And the Quan, keep putting them videos up, man. Hey, you know I'm gonna come looking at you, bro. Been kind of busy lately, but hey, there ain't no excuse, right? Keep feeding the sheep. Hey, hope you make a call in the election, sure, just like me, man. Hope I see you on the chair. YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, Ratazah. Shalom to all of you. Shalom.